Myst, Might, Mayhem. By Han Jung-Wioya. Chapter 426. Political Situation. Part 1. It was merely a coincidence that occurred quite fortuitously. A body. Isn't there any body I can enter? Guard Go-chan, who could no longer possess the body of young Master Jang Nung-ak in the midst of the fierce battlefield, was desperately trying to find a new body. But there was a problem here. Because the battlefield was so intense, the only available bodies were either on the brink of death or already dead. Entering such corpses would be meaningless. Moreover, although he was a vengeful spirit, he had been forcibly made so by Mok Jionun's technique, so his rank was low, and he had so little experience that he had never possessed a body on his own before. Therefore, rather than entering a body that would cause unnecessary trouble, he wanted to carefully choose a body with both good social status and martial prowess, like Jang Nung-ak's. However, finding such a body in the midst of a battlefield where people were killing each other was not an easy task. Would that one be good enough? It looked like a great hall master of the sect. He had just lost a battle and was on the verge of death, but the condition of his body wasn't too bad. So he entered this body, but you were still alive. I'll make sure to kill you this time. Huh? Wait. I'm Chwack. Keck. As soon as he entered, he was attacked by a nearby enemy and the body died with its neck cut. It was absurd. Who could have predicted that he would die immediately after entering? So he entered another body that seemed relatively intact and usable, but, what? Weren't you dead? Wait. Bas, tard. I'm ing to speak. Kuo. Once again, as soon as he entered, the body died with its heart pierced before he could even recover. If he had been of a higher rank, he might have been able to freely control the body and quickly induce recovery, but it was too much for Go-chan. Damn it. Should I try targeting an enemy instead? However, die. Keck. This was a repetition of the same situation, regardless of whether it was an enemy or an ally. After losing his life about 3 times in this manner, Go-chan judged that it was practically impossible to possess a new body on the battlefield. So he thought he should get any body from a safe place away from the battlefield. Go-chan, who had learned that he could move upwards when in spirit form because his body was light, rose up and looked for a suitable place, when, he saw a group of masked individuals gathered at a certain point, even though most of the forces, including the enemy, were gathered in the main square of the sect. Go-chan was about to ignore them given this situation, but he discovered someone unconscious among the masked individuals. She was none other than Wei So-yen. It was undoubtedly Wei So-yen, the youngest disciple of the society leader. He had certainly heard that the master had sent someone to protect her. But why was she in that state? Go-chan pondered for a moment. After considering whether to find a body or follow them, his choice was the latter. It feels like I might suffer again, but I smell the scent of merit. So thanks to her being in this unconscious state, he easily entered Wei So-yen's body, but what should I do now? Sook. First, touching this coffin, it feels sturdier than expected. I don't know what it's made of, but it doesn't seem like it would break with moderate force. And each of these masked individuals was no ordinary expert. Judging by the speed of their lightness skills, each one was at least a peak expert, and especially their leader had reached the extreme of the supreme realm. Even though Wei So-yen's body is strong, it might be difficult to face them head-on alone. It seemed he should look for an opportunity to escape. Master. Parurururu. Master. Parurururu. He had been taught by Mok Jionun how to communicate as a food spirit. So he was deliberately transmitting his thoughts with trembling to indicate his location through the connection, but it seemed he hadn't noticed yet. Surely this coffin isn't made with some kind of spell, is it? Unfortunately, Go-chan's guess was correct. Although he had hurriedly entered the coffin with Wei So-yen, he hadn't noticed that special talismans were attached to every gap in the coffin. ACU, point. Mok Jayangan remembered the Heaven and Earth Society leader's last silent, desperate cry before his neck was broken by Chong Ryang's hand. He had clearly tried to tell him something, and it was about acupoints. Why was that? Now he seemed to understand its meaning. Kek. Mok Jayangan grabbed the throat of Mo Yak, young master Na Yelriang's confidant, and said, "You. Why are you pretending to be unconscious when your acupoints have been unsealed?" Kek. I. Suk. Kek, what are you doing? As Mok Jayangan moved his hand towards her chest, she couldn't hide her bewilderment. However, with her neck gripped and unable to move her body at all, there was nothing she could do. Mok Jayangan, who had placed his hand in the center of her chest, said expressionlessly, "What an unusual acupoint technique." Paralysis points to prevent body movement and fainting points had been sealed, but the method of sealing the fainting points was different from the usual. It seemed they were set to unseal slowly so that even those sensitive to energy wouldn't notice, allowing only consciousness to return. In conclusion, this was done deliberately. Mok Jayangan's eyes narrowed. It was intentional. Did they anticipate a situation where they might have to kill themselves? Mok Jayangan looked at the corpse of the Heaven and Earth Society leader, who had died with a broken neck. Despite dying like that, there was no trace of resentment or suffering on his face and in his eyes. As if he had willingly accepted it. Did he try to do something until the end, even though it had become a situation he couldn't control? Why? It doesn't make sense. This person clearly inherited the blood of Bayong Hian of the Heaven vein. Then why is he trying to walk a path so opposed to him? Anyway, this woman knows the answer to why Chong Ryang left alone, rejecting him. Speak. What conversation took place? Kek. You're not going to spout nonsense about not hearing, are you? My current mood is not one I want to ask anyone twice about. Although her body was paralyzed and she couldn't move due to the sealed acupoints, Mo Yak couldn't easily open her lips due to the chilling sensation that ran down her spine. She was already aware of how strong this monster was and knew there was nothing she could do. However, Suk. Mo Yak's gaze turned towards the unconscious young master Na Yelriang. Looking at him, she then spoke with eyes full of determination, as if ready to throw away her life, if you promise, in public, to spare the young master's life. I'll speak. You're not in a position to negotiate. Then kill me. At her words without hesitation, one of Mok Jayangan's eyebrows raised slightly. This woman is also one of those types of people. The type who can throw away their own life for others without hesitation. I see. A tone as if resigned. At this, she thought Mok Jayangan had accepted her deal. If one recalled the conversation he had just had with that vengeful spirit, that being seemed quite precious to him. Mo Yak exhaled in relief. It was no different from gambling, but it was truly fortunate. If you promise, in front of everyone. Suk. Before Mo Yak could finish speaking, Mok Jayangan made a light gesture, and the unconscious body of young master Na Yelriang slowly rose. Mo Yak cried out in shock. What are you dash? Quack. As Mok Jayangan made a gesture of clenching his hand, Pusuk. Na Yelriang's entire body tightened, and blood burst out from various places. You. Kek. If you try to be clever and filter something in your mind while talking, I'll burst him and kill him like this. Kwaike. Kwaduduk. Na Yelriang's skin began to twist and tear. He hadn't regained consciousness despite this happening, perhaps because no special acupoint technique had been used on him. This guy is an evil spirit. The gentle voice he had used when talking with that vengeful spirit was nowhere to be seen, and he was now cruelty and coldness incarnate. It was hard to believe it was the same person. Mo Yak, suffering with bloodshot eyes, finally cried out, "Stop. I'll tell everything." In the end, she surrendered. So Wai Soyan is the soul, Hun, and Chang Ryang is the spirit, Baek, containing the resentment. Mok Jayangan, who had learned through Mo Yak what had happened inside, let out a faint sigh. He had thought there must be some reason, and now he finally had the answer. It was the choice made by her, who considered the situation to be as unfavorable as possible at the point when Wai Soyan was taken by 3. To bear all the karma alone. She deliberately cut off her emotions. It truly wasn't that she had used him as a tool for revenge. It was to push him away ruthlessly so as not to hurt him, because it could become a fight that couldn't be won in any way. Quack. Mok Jayangan's fist clenched. Upon learning her true intentions, Mok Jayangan realized what was immediately important. The urgent priority was to recover Wai Soyan, who had been kidnapped by them, and to prevent Chang Ryang from going alone to that place where there was said to be an alchemy to unite the Hun and Baek. He had to hurry. I need to find Wai Soyan first. Having determined the order of what needed to be done, Mok Jayangan immediately went outside the building. But the moment he came out, a thunderous cheer erupted. Wah! It was a massive cheer that made heaven and earth shake. With the leader subdued, the battlefield could already be considered their victory. The society members, who had killed and subdued all the enemies, couldn't help but shout cheers of excitement when Mok Jayangan, who would become the new master of the Heaven and Earth Society, appeared. Pat. Numerous executives approached Mok Jayangan's side. The axe-destroying King Ho Tae Gang, the Shadow Clan Master Huan Yasian, Siap Chun, the demon-subduing Fist Master and Mad Monk Jia Jiamjong, the masked Ma Ra Hyan, and other key confidants were all safe, although they had suffered some injuries. Kung. Among these executives, the axe-destroying King Ho Tae Gang knelt on one knee before Mok Jayangan, clasped his hands in respect, and shouted loudly, "We congratulate you on the victory, my lord." Kung. The executives and all those who had been cheering likewise paid their respects to Mok Jayangan and shouted, "We congratulate you on the victory." As thousands of society members shouted, the entire square seemed about to lift off. Seeing these people excited and elated by the victory, Mok Jayangan's footsteps, which were about to leave the Heaven and Earth Society immediately for his purpose, became heavy. He had been thinking only of recovering Wai Soyan and Chang Ryang. Mok Jayangan, who had been looking at the majestic scene of numerous people paying their respects and looking up to him, was about to take a step. Tack. Now is not the time to celebrate this or do anything else. They've won anyway, so even if he leaves right away, it shouldn't be a big problem. Long ago, I wanted to become a great master and founding patriarch leading a new world. For a moment, Chang Ryang's words echoed in his mind, and his footsteps faltered. Why are her words coming to mind at this moment of all times? Isn't that not what's important right now? Become a great master who embraces everyone. Quack. Her voice resounded so clearly in his mind that Mok Jayangan's clenched fist tightened. Chang Ryang's earnest wish. Recalling this, he couldn't carelessly disregard everything. At this, Mok Jayangan, facing all the society members looking up to him, Chang drew his sword and raised it as if to imprint the joy of victory. At that moment, another thunderous cheer erupted. Wah! Faced with the surging heat of the crowd, Mok Jayangan was caught in a strange emotion for the first time in his life. Chapter 427. Political Situation. Part 2. The Grand Conference Hall of the Righteous Alliance. Gathered there were the leaders of the 9 great sects and 7 great families, who formed the core of the Righteous Alliance. The martial arts world referred to them as the 17 Mighty Rulers. 1. Normally, this meeting would have 20 attendees, including the alliance leader, vice leader, and chief commander. However, only 14 mighty rulers were present at this conference. The alliance leader, vice leader, and 3 commanders were absent, greeting an envoy from the imperial palace. The abbot of Shaolin Temple, who typically abstained from worldly affairs, was also missing. The head of the Sichuan Tang family, one of the 7 great families, was not present either. As for the Namgung family, they had yet to elect a new family head after Namgung Jin's death at Spiritual Sword Sanctuary. In truth, This meeting of the mighty rulers had been called due to several recent incidents. After the great battle between the righteous and evil factions in the past, the martial arts world had been relatively quiet for a while. However, starting with the domineering steps incident at Shaolin Temple, the martial arts world had become tumultuous because of one individual. They could no longer simply observe the situation. Huh? Elder Zhang, is that true? Ba. It is true. Elder Zhang Mayang, who was dispatched as an investigator to Spiritual Sword Sanctuary, confirmed it personally. At Hingshan sect leaders, Elder Zhang Han's words, the faces of the mighty rulers grew serious. It was understandable, as they had gathered to discuss the actions of the so-called seventh heaven, the heavenly demon, whose behavior was far from righteous. The fact that Ocheon Mu, the sect leader of Spiritual Sword Sanctuary, a major pillar of the neutral faction and one of the current seven heavens, had sworn allegiance to this individual at such a significant location was shocking. How could this have happened? This was not a matter that could be taken lightly. The seven heavens were considered the pinnacle of the current martial arts world. For one of the seven heavens to submit and swear allegiance to another of the seven heavens meant that the balance maintained by the three major factions was beginning to crumble. Moreover, I can't understand what's happening. First, there's that mysterious bladesman who killed the head of the Namgung family, and then there's that strange force that annihilated the disciples of the Qingqing sect. The head of the Namgung family, Namgung Jin, one of the 8 stars, and the entire force of the Namgung family had lost their lives to a mysterious bladesman. Although they had heard that this individual was defeated by the heavenly demon, the newly emerged member of the seven heavens, the appearance of such an unknown master was not good news in the current situation. Take a look at this. Jin Sokja, the sect leader of the Qingqing sect, placed a rubbing on the round table. It showed a symbol of 2 parallel lines with a single vertical line intersecting them in the middle. Is this the mark? In response to Gu Qialja of the Huashan sect's question, Jin Sokja nodded. Yes. This was the scar found on my sect's disciples. I don't know what force left this mark, but they are no ordinary individuals. What do you mean by no ordinary individuals? If my judgment is correct, all of their corpses were killed with a single sword strike, but this wasn't just any ordinary strike. If not an ordinary strike, then what do you mean? It appears to be the sword technique of controlling the sword with qi. What? The sword technique of controlling the sword with qi? The sword technique of controlling the sword with qi was a skill that only supreme masters who had surpassed the wall and reached the pinnacle of the transformation realm could perform. If that was the case, it could only mean that the person who annihilated them was at least on par with the 8 stars. Just how many incidents had occurred in this short period? At that moment, an old beggar holding a faintly green-colored staff spoke up. It seems peace has lasted too long. He was Hung Wansok, the current leader of the beggars' sect. Clicking his tongue and speaking nonchalantly, his words prompted Gu Qialja, the sect leader of the Huashan sect, to reproach him. Leader Hung, how can you say such a thing? Are you suggesting that someone is deliberately causing these incidents to disrupt the peace? Since we've maintained good relations with the government, there have been small conflicts, but never such major incidents in succession. Do you view this as a simple matter? Gu Qialja of the Huashan sect fell silent at Hong Wansok's words. He, too, had to agree inwardly. One incident might be overlooked, but when multiple events occurred in succession, one could only suspect that some plot or scheme was afoot. At that moment, someone spoke up. But hasn't one organization been particularly quiet lately? The speaker was Punayel Hyan, the head of the Northern Pung clan. The Northern Pung clan had suffered a significant blow to their power and influence due to the incident involving imperial concubine Seo at the imperial palace, and they were now close to being ostracized, under strict surveillance. Ba. Clan leader Pung. Are you referring to them? At Elder Zhang Han's words, everyone naturally thought of one particular group. A force that had been unusually quiet lately. Unlike the Evil Alliance, which had been constantly clashing with others, it was the Heaven and Earth Society, whose leader was rumored to be ill. That's right. Those who have been laying low until now, but orchestrated the incident with imperial concubine Co at the imperial palace. Some nodded at his words, as if finding them reasonable. The Heaven and Earth Society had been keeping a low profile since the war between the righteous and evil factions, as if conserving their strength. They couldn't rule out the possibility that they were involved in these recent incidents. Seeing an opportunity, Punai El-Hayyan, the head of the Ping clan, tried to press the issue. If all these incidents are related to the Heaven and Earth Society, and we turn a blind eye to them, it would be even more. However, it's hard to say for certain, isn't it? Clan leader Wangbo? The one who interrupted was Wangbo Song, the head of the Wangbo clan, another of the 7 great families. The Wangbo clan was particularly at odds with the Northern Pung clan. As he stepped in, Punai El-Hayyan couldn't help but show his discomfort. What's so hard to see? Of course, we can't rule out the Heaven and Earth Society's involvement, but if we blow things out of proportion due to personal grudges, that would also be problematic. What? Bang! Punai El-Hayyan slammed the round table forcefully. However, despite his anger, most of the mighty rulers showed little reaction. Some even had hints of mockery on their faces. Kook. Punai El-Hayyan's expression twisted. He had lost half of his family's power due to the incident where the outer court clan leader Pung Sukhaim had attempted to violate imperial concubine Co, and was now under strict surveillance, almost to the point of ostracism. As a result, his influence was no longer as great as it once was. Feeling that he had exposed his weakness, clan leader Punai El-Hayyan suppressed his anger and spoke to Wangbo Song, the head of the Wangbo clan. This is not about personal grudges. Clan leader Wangbo, aren't you the one letting emotions cloud your judgment and denying my words? Not necessarily. Isn't the Silent Strides, which is responsible for sending spies to the Heaven and Earth Society, under your management, clan leader Wangbo? Leader Hong? Silent Strides. It was an organization known only to a select few within the Righteous Alliance. These were secretly trained spies, not officially acknowledged by the righteous factions that advocated justice and chivalry, and thus rarely mentioned. However, this was a high-level conference attended only by the mighty rulers who were privy to such information, which is why the leader of the Beggars sect openly brought it up. If clan leader Wangbo says so, doesn't that mean he has some information regarding the Heaven and Earth Society? We received one piece of information, though it's uncertain whether it's genuine or disinformation. Uncertain information? What do you mean? At Leader Hong's question, Wangbo Song's eyes narrowed. Recently, he had received information from an unknown source. As far as he knew, most of the Silent Strides agents infiltrated into the inner circle of the Heaven and Earth Society had lost their lives. However, a piece of information came through the secret communication network of the outer circle, using a password. The problem was that the person who sent this password had made contact using the identification tag of a Silent Strides agent who had been deployed to Corpse Blood Valley but was believed to be dead. They claimed to be a hostage brought from the Yun Moksword Manor. Half a year ago, the renowned martial arts family, the Yun Moksword Manor, had suddenly announced their withdrawal from the martial arts world. The reason for this was unknown, but the person who sent the information through the secret communication network identified themselves as a hostage from the Yun Moksword Manor. Although he was still in the process of verifying this and hadn't officially announced the information, he said, "The information suggested that a major internal conflict is about to erupt within the Heaven and Earth Society." A major internal conflict? Could it be that the condition of the Heaven and Earth Society's leader has worsened? If the uncertain information turns out to be true, that might be the case. Then it would be difficult to assume that those facing an internal conflict are related to. Thud. At that moment, everyone's attention turned to someone sitting on the right side of the round table. There, they saw someone clutching the area around their left eye, sweating profusely and frowning in pain. It was Danmok Inho, the head of the Danmok family, one of the 7 great families. Clan leader Danmok? Are you alright? You don't look well, clan leader Danmok. In response to their concerns, Danmok Inho waved his hand dismissively, then spoke with one eye closed, as if it was uncomfortable. "Ah. I injured my eye during recent training. Please excuse me." "Oh. If it's difficult, perhaps you should rest." "It's nothing. More importantly, I also have some interesting information to share." "Shall we discuss that?" "Interesting information? What do you mean?" As everyone focused on him, Dan Mok-In-ho slightly raised the corners of his mouth and spoke in a meaningful tone. "I have information that the seventh heaven, who is the core of this agenda, has started an internal war within the Heaven and Earth Society. At the same time, in the guest house prepared to receive the envoy from the Imperial Palace, an unexpected situation was unfolding there. The high-ranking official who had come as an envoy was lying on the floor with his head severed, and two masters were fiercely clashing swords. A middle-aged man who had been unsheathing his sword with bare hands created some distance and pointed at his opponent with his left hand forming a sword seal. Suddenly, a uniquely shaped sword lying on the floor rose on its own and extended, unleashing a sword energy. Swoosh! The opponent caught the hilt of the flying sword energy with the marvelous technique of ritual of binding. Despite the blue sparks flying from the strong energy, the sword didn't fall. Crackle crackle. Seeing this, the middle-aged man's eyes flashed with surprise. He's catching the sword energy controlled by chi with the marvelous ritual of binding? This was an extraordinary feat that even he, who had surpassed the wall of walls, couldn't easily accomplish. The identity of the middle-aged man was none other than Zhang Haiyan-mun, the leader of the Righteous Alliance. The man who had caught the sword energy with the attaching sword technique smirked and said to Zhang Haiyan-mun, "Is this the famous ILY? It was the precious sword created by Ocheon-mu, the sect leader of Spiritual Sword Sanctuary." Looking at the smirking man, Zhang Haiyan-mun, the leader of the Righteous Alliance, spoke with a voice full of suspicion. "You're not Wai-Takian. What are you talking about? If I'm not Wai-Takian, then who is Wai-Takian?" The identity of the man mocking Zhang Haiyan-mun was Wai-Takian, the sword of fulfilled ambition and defiance. 3. The vice leader of the Righteous Alliance. Looking at him, leader Zhang Haiyan-mun inwardly denied it. It couldn't be. The Wai-Takian, no, his sworn brother Wai, who had been with him for so long, would never arbitrarily kill an envoy from the Imperial Palace. And even though he was one of the 8 stars, his martial prowess had increased too rapidly. Leader Zhang Haiyan-mun glanced at Commander Zhuge, who had fallen with his right leg severed, and raised his chi even further. If he didn't subdue him quickly, the chief commander's life might be in danger. As the war had ended, members of the society were clearing the corpses and prisoners overflowing in the square, and the wounded were being urgently moved to the medical ward. In the main hall on the first floor of the headquarters, where the signboard of the Heaven and Earth Society had been destroyed, all the executives except for the injured had gathered. Mok Jae-un, the leader, was seated on the stone throne in the hall. On the left side of the upper platform in front of him were Ocheon-mu, the sect leader of Spiritual Sword Sanctuary, leading the loyal followers brought from outside, including the masked Ma-Ra Hyan, the subduing demon Jia Jiam-jong, and others like Sib Chun and Mong Muyak. On the right side were axe-destroying King Ho Tae-gang, Poison King Baek Saha, Shadow Clan Master Huan Yasian, Corpse Blood Valley Master Lee Ji-yeom, and others. Standing in the center of these executives, right in front of Mok Jae-un's gaze, was a beautiful woman with graying hair who exuded an alluring aura. She was Chen Chu, the highest-ranking executive of the secret society. Despite being a prisoner who had surrendered, Chen Chu was looking at Mok Jae-un with a relaxed, smiling face. She was the first to speak. "I thought you'd be in a hurry, but I guess not." She had a good idea of the real objective Mok Gon was aiming for in this war against the Heaven and Earth Society. That's why she thought the man in front of her would be quite anxious. She had intended to use this to lead the negotiation, but what was with that inexplicably relaxed demeanor? Of course, the reason was simple. It was due to the voice echoing loudly in Mok Jae-un's head. "Master. It's me, Go-chan Master? Master? Can you really not hear me? I'm possessing Wai Soyen's body, but I don't dare try to escape. Master? No, fuck, I could understand when there was a talisman on the coffin, but now the lid is open and you still can't hear me. Is this bastard's ear rotten or what? Chapter 428. Political Situation. Part 3. It was truly a fortuitous turn of events. Mok Jaeyonan had thought that recovering Wai So-yeon would be quite challenging. However, he never imagined that the most difficult condition would be resolved due to an unexpected variable. A variable. The corner of Mok Jaeyoun's mouth twitched slightly. You'll certainly feel the difference between having trusted companions by your side and not. He had never taken Chong Ryong's words lightly, but fundamentally, he believed that in the very end, he could trust no one but himself. But who could have predicted that Go Chan, of all people, would play such a crucial role? Because of this, Mok Jaeyonan became interested in the concept of cause and effect. No, fuck. Can you really not hear me? Swoosh. Mok Jaeyonan formed a hand seal with his left hand, grasped the connection linked to Go Chan, and conveyed his thoughts. I understand, so wait. Gasp. Master. Did you perhaps hear what I just said? What did you say? Phew. Go Chan was so flustered that he let out a deep sigh of relief at Mok Jaeyoun's words. And nothing at all. Mok Jaeyoun inwardly chuckled at Go Chan's reaction. It could have been the worst obstacle, but since he had made a crucial contribution, he was just overlooking the continuous cursing. So what should we do, Master? It's difficult to tell you the exact location. But if you follow the connection, you don't need to worry about that. Soon. No. Suddenly, something flashed through Mok Jaeyoun's mind. He had intended to simply bring back Go Chan and Wai So-yeon's bodies, but he realized he could use this situation to his advantage. So, stay in that state for a while. What? Stay? You mean keep doing this? Yes. Huh? Understood. What else could he do when told to wait? Although he felt cramped staying in the coffin, he had no choice but to wait reluctantly, as he couldn't escape without Mok Jaeyoun's help anyway. Swoosh. Mok Jaeyoun touched another connection and sent his thoughts along with a hand seal. Stop the search for Wai So-yeon. Follow the diabolic beast Aliu and secure Chong Ryong's location. It was a message sent to the demonic beast Human. Even though he wanted to wrap up the Heaven and Earth Society's affairs as quickly as possible, he couldn't immediately start searching, so he had sent the demonic beast Human, who could traverse the air, in advance. While Mok Jaeyoun was giving instructions to the ghost servant he had made his familiar, Seop Chun, finding the lack of response strange, spoke up. My lord. If you're uncomfortable, we can detain her separately for interrogation. At these words, Chun Chu, the highest-ranking executive of the secret society, laughed and said, You're going to interrogate after I've surrendered? How discourteous. You find this amusing? I heard that over dozens of our allies died by your hands. It wouldn't be strange to behead you right now and display your head as a warning. Step aside, young one. What? Even if I've been captured, I still have my own standards. Huh? Seop Chun's expression turned incredulous at Chuanchu's sarcasm. Most of those in the main hall were executives who could be called the Lord's loyal followers. Although he might lack experience compared to the others here, he believed his loyalty to Mok Jaeyoun was no less than anyone else's. Xing. Seop Chun half drew his mad dance sword and spoke with a voice filled with killing intent. It seems I need to teach you some manners. Stop. At that moment, Jia Jiamzhong, the subduing demon and rogue monk, restrained him. Others might not know, but he was one of the few in this place who had crossed blades with Chun Chu, the highest-ranking executive of the secret society. That's why he knew her tremendous martial prowess better than anyone else. Even though his skills had improved tremendously while serving the Lord, the opponent was a monster capable of going toe-to-toe with Ocheon Mu, the sect leader of Spiritual Sword Sanctuary, who was on par with the Seven Heavens' great masters. If they were to fight, Seop Chun wouldn't last more than a few moves. If you say so, my face. Kuhuhu. No need to save face. That woman isn't an ordinary human to begin with. The only ones here who could face her one-on-one are the master and that old man. Ho ho ho. Oh Cheonmu, the sect leader of Spiritual Sword Sanctuary, burst into laughter at being called an old man. He had finally joined in earnest, but this was the first time he had experienced such an atmosphere as a member of a group at his age. To think that crazy monk would swear loyalty to our Lord, I've lived long enough to see everything. Axe-destroying King Hotegang inwardly clicked his tongue. Most of those bearing the title of the three madmen were not the type to serve under anyone. Yet, two of them had come under the command of their lord, Mok Jiangyun. This was quite surprising. The mad swordsman Jioi was one thing, but what shocked everyone the most was undoubtedly Oh Cheonmu, the sect leader of Spiritual Sword Sanctuary. Who could have imagined that he would recruit one of the seven heavens under his command? They had worried about weakening their forces due to the numerous casualties after the internal war, but now there was no need for concern. They had been replenished with new strength. At that moment, Mok Jiangyun spoke. Since you surrendered voluntarily, if you give the answers I want, I'll treat you accordingly. Now we're talking. Where's the main body? Chunchu was momentarily speechless at Mok Jiangyun's direct question. Judging by his mention of the main body, this man seemed to know more than she had anticipated. Well, perhaps this was why Mok Gan had gone to such lengths to intervene personally? Why are you silent? It's not that I'm silent, I'm just surprised. Seeing that you've even figured out that it's not the main body, it's no wonder the great Mok Gan felt threatened. Are you really the being from the prophecy? The heavenly demon. At these words, the executives couldn't hide their bewilderment. Not many understood the conversation between these two. Ignoring this, Mok Jiangyun spoke. Let's cut out the unnecessary talk. Tell me where Mok Gan's, no, the Three Eyes' real body is. You're strange. That's not what's urgent right now. Why so? Rumble. Before she could finish her words, her eyebrows twitched under the immense pressure bearing down on her. And tremendous force was pressing down on her, the pressure so intense that her knees were about to buckle. Crack. Even the soles of her feet began to crack. This man. Is he trying to subdue me with sheer force? She could still endure for now. However, if the force increased any further, she felt she wouldn't be able to withstand it without revealing her true form as a demon fox, not just her human form. Rumble. As expected, the oppressive force grew even stronger. Was this man not using his full power when he fought Mok Gan? To be able to suppress her to this extent with just the energy he exuded while sitting still. He was so strong that it made her wonder if he was really human. TCH. There was no other choice. If she revealed her true form, she would have to show her ugly appearance instead of this beautiful form. As someone who loved her current appearance more, she didn't want that. So. Thud. I'll play along. Chunchu simply knelt down. Seeing her like this, a glint appeared in Mok Jiangyun's eyes. Having opened his third eye, he could see the demonic energy she was suppressing. It seemed she was hiding her power as a demon fox, just like the other highest-ranking executive, the deceased Kang Yom or whoever it was. Given her tone and behavior, she seemed quite prideful, so what was her intention? It didn't seem like she had truly surrendered because her master had been defeated and she was at a disadvantage. If your purpose is clear, it's obvious that you'll take me to where he is, so there's no need to track and find him. That's right. I really like you. Kneeling, she licked her lips while showing her cleavage. Seeing this, Oh Cheonmu, the sect leader of Spiritual Sword Sanctuary, and Poison King Baek Saha frowned and turned their heads away. They thought she was truly a bewitching woman. However, despite her alluring appearance, there was no change in Mok Jiangyun's gaze. Rather, I told you to cut out the unnecessary talk. You really have a charm that makes me feel motivated after a long time. Sigh. Swoosh. Mok Jiangyun slightly raised his sword-formed fingers. At that moment, Flinch. Feeling the chilling sword energy behind her, she hurriedly tried to move her body forward, but, thud. Thud. She couldn't move either forward or backward. This was because two formless swords that had been created in midair intersected and pressed against the back of her neck. What is this? Chunchu instinctively knew. Although she couldn't see clearly, this sharp energy that had crossed behind her neck and penetrated the floor would be difficult to block even if she returned to her true form. Chunchu slightly raised her head and looked at Mok Jiangyun. Is it possible? Could this man be a worthy opponent to that monster like Mok Gan? She had naturally chosen to surrender and pretend to switch sides for his sake, but she wasn't interested in dying in vain. Staring intently at Mok Jiangyun, she opened her mouth. Like Kong Yom or Ghost Blade said, you too might have the potential. At the mention of Ghost Blade, Mok Jiangyun, who had been about to move his sword-formed fingers to pressure her further, stopped. Potential? What are you talking about? I'm currently making the biggest gamble of my life. A gamble? That's right. Mok Gan will find out soon, and when that happens, I'll pay the price one way or another. Probably in the form of death. At her words, a glint appeared in Mok Jiangyun's eyes. Was this woman not trying to pull some trick, but actually surrendering? Doubt and bewilderment arose simultaneously. If she were just a third-tier member of the secret society, not an executive-level figure, it would be understandable, but she held a high position in the secret society. Moreover, was a non-human being really trying to betray the Three Eyes and side with him? While doubt was still stronger, she spoke. Listen, this is important. There are only two highest-ranking executives who know Mok Gan's location. Ghost Blade and Destruction Emperor. At Mok Jiangyun's words, Chunchu furrowed her brow and said, Did Kong Yom tell you that? Yes. Acting all noble and ancient, but in the end, he spilled everything. He must have been terribly afraid of dying. Chunchu clicked her tongue. She had thought that Kong Yom would keep his mouth shut even if it meant death. However, it seemed true that you only know someone's true nature when they face a crisis. At that moment, Mok Jiangyun spoke to her. If you're going to repeat the same words as him, you won't be of much use either. No. I'm not useless. I mean, such a charming woman is offering to be on your side. At her words, Mok Jiangyun snorted and said, I'm already getting bored. What should I do? Swoosh. As Mok Jiangyun slightly moved his sword-formed fingers, the formless swords intersecting at her neck began to move. Feeling the sharp energy about to cut into her neck, Chunchu clicked her tongue and said, You're really a difficult man to handle. You. Well, fine. Easy men are no fun anyway. But how do you plan to extract Mok Gan's location from Ghost Blade when you find him? At her words, Mok Jiangyun casually replied, Do you think he won't open his mouth? I'm sorry, but he's different from Kong Yom or the other highest-ranking executives. He'd rather die than submit to force. That's why he followed the society leader instead of Mok Gan, even at the risk of danger. He followed the society leader? Come to think of it, there was a part of Mo Yak's story that was particularly puzzling. It was because he got the impression that Ghost Blade was acting according to the society leader's will. But if this was true, could there be a rift within Mok Gan's inner circle? While he was pondering this, Chunchu raised the corner of her mouth and said, Now that the society leader is dead, there's only one person who can persuade him. Are you saying that person is you? That's right. How do you plan to persuade someone who would rather die than submit to force? Do you have some sort of secret method? The best secret method. Because Ghost Blade and I are connected by blood. Chapter 429. Political Situation. Part 4. Chief Commander. Chief Commander. In the esteemed guest house of the Righteous Alliance. Zhuge Duyang, the first commander who oversaw both the military and intelligence departments of the Righteous Alliance, opened his eyes and came to his senses. What he saw was the alliance leader Zhang Haiyanmun, covered in wounds, trying to stop the bleeding from his severed leg. Leader. Are you all right? Are you conscious? I'm fine. How? How? Kook. Zhuge Duyang touched the back of his aching head. His head might have been cracked, as he felt blood on his hand. As he touched it, Zhuge Duyang remembered what had happened. Swoosh. Vice leader? What are you doing? Well. What am I doing? They had been escorting the envoy from the Kaifeng Imperial Palace to the guest house. The moment the door closed, the vice leader sort of fulfilled ambition and defiance. Wai suddenly beheaded the envoy. Then, he overwhelmed Zhuge Duyang, who was right next to him, with his superior martial arts, cut off his leg, and struck the back of his head. That's why he had lost consciousness. Recalling the memory, Zhuge Duyang spoke with an agitated voice. The vice leader. The vice leader killed the envoy. Calm down. I tried to hurry as much as I could, but it took time to subdue him, so you've lost a lot of blood. You need to circulate your qi now. At the alliance leader Zhang Haiyanmun's words, Zhuge Duyang realized that his condition wasn't good either. Indeed, he had lost a lot of blood, feeling dizzy and finding it difficult to breathe. However, right now, the vice leader's sudden killing of the envoy was a bigger issue than his own condition. Leader. Now is not the time to worry about me. The vice leader. I know. I'll go straight to the Grand Conference Hall after moving you to a safe place. You can call someone else to do that. This situation could potentially cause a conflict between the Imperial Palace and our alliance. It seems that the vice leader, or rather Wai Taqian, was aiming for that. The alliance leader Zhang Haiyanmun seemed to have anticipated this to some extent. Zhuge Duyang's face turned serious as he spoke. How could the vice leader do such a thing? No matter how he thought about it, it didn't make sense. Vice leader Wai Taqian had been a chivalrous hero who had run the righteous alliance together for a long time. Zhuge Duyang found it utterly incomprehensible that he, of all people, would do such a thing. The alliance leader Zhang Haiyanmun showed him something soaked in blood. Is that? Zhuge Duyang's eyes widened. It was a wooden tag used by the spies of the Heaven and Earth Society. This tag, designed to be easily destroyed at any time, was something they had learned about while capturing the Heaven and Earth Society spies infiltrated into the Righteous Alliance. Wai Taqian tried to put this in his mouth and chew it to swallow. Before he died. Then the vice leader. It seems he had some connection to the Heaven and Earth Society. Huh. How could this happen? The vice leader was a spy for the Heaven and Earth Society. We'll need to investigate further, but for now, the probability that the vice leader was acting under the Heaven and Earth Society's instructions is very high. At the alliance leader Zhang Haiyanmun's words, Zhuge Duyang's expression darkened. Although there had been occasional cases of high-ranking officials in the alliance being connected to the Heaven and Earth Society, this was too shocking. That the vice leader of the Righteous Alliance, of all people, was a spy for the Heaven and Earth Society. Wait a moment. Unable to accept it, Zhuge Duyang suddenly recalled how vice leader Wai Taqian had consistently opposed confrontation whenever the alliance came into contact with the Heaven and Earth Society. While taking a hard line against the evil alliance, he had advocated for friendly relations with the Heaven and Earth Society. At the time, they had thought it was because vice leader Wai Taqian harbored more resentment towards the evil alliance for losing his bloodline in the war against them. Highlighting this, it became difficult to assert that he had no close connection to the Heaven and Earth Society. So, Zhuge Duyang said, Leader. Even if it's not certain, if there's physical evidence, we have no choice for now. No choice? We're not in a situation where we can determine whether the vice leader definitely had connections with the Heaven and Earth Society or not. What do you mean? The only way to avoid an immediate conflict with the Imperial Palace is to send the vice leader's head and that tag to the Imperial Palace, proving that this incident was caused by the divisive tactics of a Heaven and Earth Society spy. Are you saying we should use the dead vice leader to put out the urgent fire rather than uncovering the truth? That's not enough. The Imperial Court won't withdraw their anger with just that. To show our sincerity, you should be prepared to confront the Heaven and Earth Society. Confront the Heaven and Earth Society? Yes. But if we clash with the Heaven and Earth Society now, it won't end as a small conflict. Alliance leader John Hyenmun was worried. If they were to clash under the pretext that the Heaven and Earth Society had planted a spy as high-ranking as the vice leader to instigate a war with the Imperial Palace, war would be inevitable. To these concerns, Chief Commander Zhuge Duyang shook his head and spoke as if there was no other choice. Clashing with the Imperial Palace would negate all the friendly relations our alliance has built with the government until now. Is that the only way to prevent this? If we clash with the Heaven and Earth Society, it might provoke the evil alliance to move as well, potentially leading to a war between the righteous and evil factions. Then the only option is to first persuade the Imperial Palace with the vice leader's corpse. If that doesn't appease their anger, we have no other choice. At these words, Alliance leader John Hyenmun closed his eyes and let out a groan. It had come down to choosing between the Imperial Palace or the Heaven and Earth Society. How did the situation come to this? After a moment of silent contemplation, he opened his eyes and stood up. I understand. You're right. If our alliance clashes with the Imperial Palace, the ones who would benefit the most are the groups of evil path practitioners like the Heaven and Earth Society and the Evil Alliance. We must prevent that. That's right. What they're aiming for is to profit from the conflict between others. We must stop that at all costs. Leader, please hurry. First, I need to get you. Please call someone. I'll take care of things here, so you need to preside over the meeting as soon as possible to deal with the situation. Are you sure you'll be all right? I'll be fine. Please go quickly. All right. I'll send someone, so you focus on circulating your chi. Understood. As Alliance leader John Hyenmun was about to leave the guest house, he suddenly stopped. Then, he pulled out a sword with elaborate patterns engraved on it that was stuck in the floor. Is that? It's the demonic sword Hell-Hacking Blade. It's now a sword that has lost its master. Zhuge Duyang let out a sigh, as if feeling sorry. As he did so, Alliance leader John Hyenmun spoke while sheathing Hell-Hacking Blade. I should retrieve this demonic sword for now. Leaving it here could cause trouble. I suppose so. But are you all right? What do you mean? The sword. Zhuge Duyang had been wondering how Alliance leader John Hyenmun could casually hold the demonic sword. That demonic sword was known to exact a great price from anyone who wielded it other than its master. Alliance leader John Hyenmun shrugged and replied, I'm suppressing the sword spirit with my true chi. Don't worry. At these words, Zhuge Duyang nodded in understanding. While an ordinary swordsman might have trouble, Alliance leader John Hyenmun was one of the seven heavens, called the peak of the current martial arts world, and an unparalleled master known as a great master. He believed that with his profound true chi, he could suppress even a demonic sword. Then I'll hurry off now. Please do. With that, Alliance leader John Hyenmun left the guest house. After he left, Chief Commander Zhuge Duyang tried to adjust his posture to circulate his chi. As he did so, his eyes fell on the corpse of Vice Leader Sword of Fulfilled Ambition and Defiance Wai-Takian, who had breathed his last. His corpse was also covered in blood and in a mess, suggesting a fierce battle. Perhaps because he had the tag he tried to chew and swallow taken away by the leader, his jaw was dislocated, and one eye. Did he gouge out the eye? Zhuge Duyang frowned. Alliance leader John Hyenmun was known as a righteous sword chivalrous hero, embodying the righteous path. He had never crossed the line or shown excessive brutality, even to enemies. Yet, he had gouged out the eye of a comrade who had shared the same sense of righteousness until just recently. Was he that enraged by the betrayal? Even so, this doesn't seem like his usual way of doing things. A cliff so high that looking down made one feel as if they were staring into an endless abyss. On top of this cliff lay a large middle-aged man in a comfortable position, supporting his head with one arm. Though covered by clothes, the middle-aged man's entire body was full of muscles. The middle-aged man, who had been trying to sleep with his eyes closed, opened them at a faint tremor. Swoosh! The middle-aged man who opened his eyes slightly moved his head to look down the cliff. In the abyss filled only with darkness, a blue light flickered. Then, rumble! At that moment, the cliff where he was lying began to shake as if an earthquake had struck. One might have been inclined to get up due to the unease caused by the shaking ground, but the man simply continued to stare at the abyss without the slightest movement. Then, from within that abyss, the blue light began to shine even more strongly. At that moment, rumble, 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 rumble. The ground began to shake with an intensity incomparable to the previous vibration. At this, the middle-aged man who had been staring down without movement pushed himself up with one hand, then walked over to a place where something was piled up. There, about 20 pointed wooden pillars were stacked, each engraved with what looked like scriptures in red letters. Tap. The middle-aged man reached for one of these wooden pillars. The wood was literally a log, looking so heavy that 4 or 5 adult men together would struggle to lift it, but, crunch. The middle-aged man's fingers distorted the wooden pillar, then lifted it with ease. It was an incredibly astonishing sight. Grasping the wooden pillar like this, the middle-aged man strode towards the shaking cliff and looked down into the abyss. Then, as he took a deep breath, his body began to glow red, and steam-like vapors started to rise from his entire body. As the middle-aged man exhaled and inhaled again, this time his skin turned not just red but black with heat. Then, the middle-aged man, whoosh, threw the wooden pillar engraved with red scriptures down into the abyss. As the man threw it, strong wave-like ripples appeared wherever the wooden pillar passed, as if it was piercing through layers of air. Bang! 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 The middle-aged man watched the wooden pillar as it became smaller and smaller. It was around the time when the wooden pillar became invisible to the eye. At that moment, boom! A red flash spread out from below with a thunderous sound. Along with it, roar. An immense gust of wind surged upwards, accompanied by an ear-splitting roar from the bottom of the abyss. The middle-aged man's eyes narrowed and his gaze sharpened as he watched this. It's getting stronger. It was becoming increasingly difficult to suppress. There weren't many blue wood pillars engraved with red scriptures left, but the power of that being trapped down there was growing stronger and stronger. It used to wake up maybe once every 10 years, but this was already the second time in a month. The intervals were getting shorter. Was it since then? The middle-aged man recalled that ominous three-eyed being who had first invaded this place besides his family. These phenomena had been occurring since that one entered this place. It wasn't a good sign. It could potentially lead to the worst-case scenario. Just then, he heard someone rushing towards him. It was a young man with a large build comparable to the middle-aged man's, none other than the monster Yumujin who had competed with Mok Jiangun at the Sichuan Tang family. Father. Frowning at his appearance, the middle-aged man, or rather Yumujik, who was called father, said, "Didn't I tell you to stay put until that ominous energy in your heart was completely resolved?" That's true, but right now, at the entrance of the valley. What's the matter? I think you need to see for yourself. At this, Yumujik ran towards the entrance of the valley with his son, Yumujin. Upon arriving at the entrance, Yumujik's expression hardened. This was because at the entrance of the valley, which should have been inaccessible due to a formation, countless strange beings, or rather Imimanjiang, were lined up. Yumujin spoke with a grave voice. What on earth is happening? A phenomenon that had never occurred since their family began guarding this place was unfolding. Chapter 430. Political Situation. Part 5. Siap Chun spoke with a concerned tone. My lord. I find it difficult to trust that woman Chen Chu. Wouldn't it be better to interrogate her further? Most of those in the main hall nodded in agreement with his words. This was because Chen Chu, the highest-ranking executive of the secret society who claimed to be blood-related to Ghost Blade, hadn't said anything since then. How do you plan to persuade someone who would rather die than submit to force? Do you have some sort of secret method? The best secret method. Because Ghost Blade and I are connected by blood. Connected by blood? You mean your siblings? Well, you could say that. Then instead of going to find him, couldn't we summon Ghost Blade here? If that were possible, I would have done it long ago. What do you mean? For some reason, all communication channels with Ghost Blade have been cut off. No matter how I try to connect, I can't reach him. And you expect me to believe that? Strictly speaking, I participated in this operation to meet the Heaven and Earth Society leader. Why? Because Ghost Blade started to align his intentions with the Heaven and Earth Society leader instead of Mok Gon. Are you saying he betrayed them? I don't know about that. It's not like I've been inside his head. But complete betrayal is impossible. As far as I know, at least. What is it that you know? That's all I can tell you. From here on, it's a matter of decision. What? She claimed that she was the only one who could persuade Ghost Blade, and demanded to accompany whoever was assigned to this task. Mok Jiangan tried to force her to speak by applying pressure, but she maintained her silence even under bone-breaking pain. She had much more endurance than Kong Yong, another highest-ranking executive of the secret society. Because of this, most of the executives, including Siep Chun, judged that she couldn't be trusted. Of course, Mok Jiangan wasn't much different from them. Normally, he would have found a way to make her talk, but now he didn't have much time. Although he had stayed briefly to handle important matters after winning the war, he needed to quickly seize Wei Soyun's body and follow Chang Ryong. Should I take her? At this point, he had only two options. Either kill her right here to eliminate future trouble, or use her as a card to persuade Ghost Blade as she claimed. However, if her words were lies and this was just an act to find Ghost Blade, she would pay the price. After a moment of contemplation, Mok Jiangan made his decision. We'll take her. What? My lord. Please reconsider. My lord. What do you mean you'll take her? Are you planning to go yourself, my lord? My lord, surely you're not planning to go in person? It can't be. As soon as Mok Jiangan's words fell, nearly half of the executives spoke up, causing an uproar in the main hall. Mok Jiangan raised his hand, gesturing for them to be quiet. Only then did the main hall become silent again. Tap. Shadow Clan Master Huan Yaxian stepped forward, clasped his hands in respect, and said, "May I say a word?" Speak. As this is an official setting, I'll speak with due respect to you as our lord, setting aside our master-disciple relationship. My lord, you are now becoming the leader of this massive organization that will replace the Heaven and Earth Society, unlike before. It is unthinkable for someone in such a crucial position to move lightly. Please reconsider. And swoosh. As Mok Jiangan raised his hand, Shadow Clan Master Huan Yaxian had to stop speaking. Then Mok Jiangan said, "As you've seen in this war, there's a third force. No one but me can deal with their leader." As soon as he finished speaking, axe-destroying King Ho Tae-gang stepped forward. Even if that's the case, the Shadow Clan Master's words have merit. Your personal involvement means taking on that much risk. Just as we're about to lay the foundation for a new era. It won't take long. Pardon? Once I secure Ghost Blade. No, once I secure Ghost Blade, I'll return. Axe-destroying King Ho Tae-gang couldn't hide his embarrassment at Mok Jiangan's stubbornness. If he were someone who could be persuaded, it might have been different, but Mok Jiangan had an even stronger will than the society leader. Sensing that he couldn't dissuade him, Ho Tae-gang hesitated on what to say next, then let this old body go instead. Poison King Baek Saha stepped forward. Although he considered Mok Jiangan his disciple, he maintained formality due to the official setting. I'm acquainted with Ghost Blade and have some connection from our previous encounter. Shadow Clan Master Huan Yaxian nodded in agreement. Let's do that. Send Baek Saha and other trusted executives. Even if they're not as capable as you, my lord, some of our executives are on par with or even surpass the 8 stars. They can meet your expectations. Rumble. At that very moment, everyone froze as an incredibly fierce energy filled the entire main hall. The only one who moved in this situation was Mu, the sect leader of Spiritual Sword Sanctuary and one of the Seven Heavens, who had already placed his hand on his sword hilt. It became clear that only one person could somewhat resist the overwhelming pressure that enveloped the entire main hall. If I were determined to kill you all here, who could stop me? Swoosh. Woong. As Mok Jiangan raised his sword-formed fingers, 3 massive formless swords materialized, targeting those in the main hall. Even though they had merely formed, most of the standing executives broke out in cold sweat from the sharp energy of the formless swords. Was he this powerful? It's hard to even breathe. Although they didn't really believe he would attack, just the pressure from Mok Jiangan forming the formless swords heightened their alertness to the extreme. You alone cannot survive. Then, Mu, the sect leader of Spiritual Sword Sanctuary, spoke up. But their words have merit. If something were to happen to you, my lord, this massive organization that's just starting to stand would be shaken. In that case, I'll go instead. Don't you trust even this? Sect leader Mu was one of the Seven Heavens, the peak of the current martial arts world, and a great master. Apart from the other 7 heavens, there was no one in the entire martial arts world who could match him. However, let me make this clear. What do you? I trust you all. At Mok Jiangan's sudden words, the executives, who had been suppressed by the pressure of the formless swords, couldn't hide their bewilderment. Swoosh. As Mok Jiangan waved his hand, the 3 formless swords in the air disappeared. The fierce energy that had filled the entire main hall also dissipated. As it became much easier to breathe, Mok Jiangan continued speaking. It's not that I can't entrust this to you because I don't trust you. I'm doing this because I'm the only one who can and should do this. At Mok Jiangan's words, everyone's expressions became complex. They had all formed connections with Mok Jiangan through various circumstances and events. Therefore, most of them knew Mok Jiangan's personality well. But as they heard his words, delivered more solemnly and weightily than a long persuasion, they all instinctively realized something. He's changing. The qualities of a leader. They were gradually blossoming. The weight of his words and every single utterance from Mok Jiangan was moving and resonating with them. He was truly growing into a vessel befitting a lord. At this, Poison King Baek Saha spoke with a satisfied expression. When you put it that way, it's hard for us as subordinates to dissuade you from doing what you must. Then please take those who will assist you. If you refuse even this, we cannot let you go. The Poison King is right. Please take an escort with you. The axe-destroying king also suggested this. In response to their words, Mok Jiangan shrugged and replied. Given the urgency, I can't take many people, so I'll bring a small group. As soon as Mok Jiangan finished speaking, Mong Muyak stepped forward, knelt on one knee, clasped his hands in respect, and said, This humble one will serve as your escort, my lord. This humble one will also serve you. Siep Chun also stepped forward, not to be outdone. As they came forward, the rogue monk Jia Jiamzhong also stepped up and said, It seems this monk won't have much to do here without the master, so take me along. As he joined, Siep Chun scratched his nose bridge and grinned. All those who had stepped forward were individuals who had shared joys and sorrows with Mok Jiangan since their time at the imperial palace. Siep Chun glanced slightly at the masked Ma Arehayan. Ma Arehayan sighed and stepped forward. I will also serve as your escort, my lord. As they came forward, this time Li Jiyom, the Corpse Blood Valley master, stepped up and said, Please allow this humble one to accompany you as well. He was the one who regarded Chong Ryong as his true master in his heart. Thus, he had a strong desire to accompany them. However, Mok Jiangan shook his head. No. You, Corpse Blood Valley master, will remain here. Faced with this firm rejection, Corpse Blood Valley master Li Jiyom showed a bewildered expression and said, Why only this humble one? You have much to do here. At Mok Jiangan's point, Li Jiyom was at a loss for words. This was because the recent war had resulted in numerous casualties within the society, and many hands were needed to reorganize. In particular, there were many roles that the executives had to take on and matters to settle. Since the internal war had been so large-scale, it would soon become known to the outside world, and they needed to prepare for that as well. Therefore, executives who were well-versed in the society's affairs were not in a position to easily move externally. This was why other executives couldn't readily step forward. At that moment, a voice was heard from the entrance of the main hall. "Ho ho ho, then may this humble one serve as your escort, my lord?" Everyone's gaze naturally turned towards the entrance. There, two figures leaning on walking sticks could be seen. One was the elderly holy fire priestess, and the other was 8 poison snake staff Gyeong Sao, the head of the Gyeong family, wearing a human skin mask despite his young face. As they entered the main hall, everyone couldn't hide their bewilderment. At this, Shadow Clan Master Huan Yasian said, "The Lord has summoned them. That person over there is." Huan Yasian glanced slightly at Mok Jyeongun. He had already been puzzled when Mok Jyeongun said he would introduce the Holy Fire Priestess to everyone in the main hall as a new member of the Heaven and Earth Society. Given that the perception of the Fire Faith Order was not very positive among the righteous factions, he thought it could be done slowly, but Mok Jyeongun's opinion was different. There is no longer a Heaven and Earth Society or a Fire Faith Order. The meaning was clear. It meant that he would subjugate the Fire Faith Order just like the Heaven and Earth Society into the newly created organization. After briefly observing Mok Jyeongun's expression, Shadow Clan Master Huan Yasian then said, "This is the Holy Fire Priestess of the Fire Faith Order." At these words, the executives who belonged to the Heaven and Earth Society stirred. They had been wondering who that old woman was, and now they're told she's the Holy Fire Priestess of the Fire Faith Order? This was quite surprising. Then, is the person next to her also from the Fire Faith Order? That snake staff. It looks familiar. Poison King Baek Saha's eyes narrowed as he saw the snake-head-shaped staff. He had definitely seen that staff somewhere before. As he was pondering this, 8 poison snake staff Gyeong Sao grasped the head of his staff, clasped his hands in respect, and greeted the executives in the main hall. "Pack. As the Lord has allowed me to reveal myself to the executives here, I greet you thus. Due to certain circumstances, I wear this face, but I am Shao of the Western Gyeong family." "Ji Gyeong Sao? 8 poison snake staff?" The executives couldn't hide their surprise upon learning his identity. Along with Poison King Baek Saha and Thousand Poison Han Tang In He of the Sichuan Tang family, Gyeong Sao was considered one of the top masters of poison. And even he had sworn loyalty to Mok Jyeongun? What mission could he have been assigned outside? Huh. Baek Saha inwardly clicked his tongue. From Mo Cheon Mu, the sect leader of Spiritual Sword Sanctuary and one of the 7 heavens, to the mad swordsman Goe, the subduing demon Ja Jiam Jong, and 8 poison snake staff Gyeong Sao, they were all renowned and formidable masters.